The house was large, filled with tall windows and polished floors, but inside it, silence carried more weight than beauty. Keanu Reeves often felt the walls pressing on him, even though to the outside world, his life looked perfect. He had money, he had fame, but inside his home he was a father with a heart full of worry. His son Liam was only 8 years old. Liam was different from other children. He could not run freely in the garden or chase a ball down the street. He had been born with a disability that made his movements slow and painful. Yet in his eyes there was light, pure, innocent, and full of dreams. Every morning Keanu would sit by Liam's bed stroking his hair, whispering stories to him before leaving for work. Liam would smile softly, asking questions about the world outside. Questions that cut Keanu's heart because he knew his son could not always experience those things. But what hurt him more was knowing that inside his own home, Liam was not always safe. Keanu's second wife, Diana, was beautiful in the eyes of strangers, but cold behind closed doors. She carried herself with charm when guests arrived, smiling sweetly, but when no one watched, her words were sharp, her patience thin. She saw Liam not as a child, but as a burden, an obstacle that dimmed the shine of her comfortable life. She often ignored him, sometimes spoke cruelly, and sometimes left him crying when she thought no one could hear. Keanu noticed the change in Liam. His son had grown quieter, his laughter less frequent. And though Keanu tried to be present, his work pulled him away at times. When he was gone, Liam was left in the care of the household staff. Among them was a woman named Maria, the maid who had worked for Keanu since Liam was a baby. Maria was not highly educated, nor did she wear fine clothes, but she carried in her heart something far greater than money: compassion. She loved Liam like her own child. She carried him when he struggled, read to him when he was lonely, and shielded him when the world seemed too heavy. It was Maria who saw what Diana did when Keanu was not at home. She saw the cold stares, the harsh words, the little acts of cruelty that chipped away at Liam's spirit. Maria never told Keanu directly, not because she didn't want to, but because she feared losing her job, and with it, the chance to protect Liam each day. But fate has a way of revealing truths. One late afternoon, Keanu returned home earlier than expected. The sun was still high, its light streaming through the windows. As he walked down the hallway, he heard Liam's small voice crying softly. His steps froze. Then he heard another voice, Diana's. Sharp, cold, impatient. Why can't you just stop crying for once? Do you know how embarrassing it is for me when people hear you? I can't stand looking at you sometimes. You're nothing but trouble. Keanu's heart shattered. He could not believe what he heard. His hands trembled, rage rising in his chest. But before he could step inside the room, another voice broke through. Madam, that's enough. It was Maria. Her tone was firm, her voice steady in a way Keanu had never heard before. He is a child, Maria said, standing between Liam and Diana. He doesn't deserve your anger. If you cannot love him, then at least do not hurt him. Diana scoffed. And who are you to tell me what to do in my own house? You're just a maid. Don't forget your place. But Maria didn't back down. She knelt beside Liam, wrapping her arms around him protectively. My place is wherever this child needs me, and right now he needs someone to protect him from cruelty. If you can't see his worth, then shame on you. From the doorway, Keanu felt his body freeze. His heart pounded with shock, anger, and sorrow all at once. He had trusted Diana, believed her sweetness, thought she could be a mother to his son. But now, with his own ears, he had heard the truth. He wanted to rush in, to shout, to throw her out that very moment. But something stopped him. Maria's courage, the way she stood her ground not for herself, but for Liam. Keanu stepped into the room quietly. Diana's face paled when she saw him, but Keanu's eyes were not on her. They were on Maria, kneeling beside his son, her arms shielding him as though she were a wall against the world. In that moment, Keanu understood who truly carried love in their heart and who only wore it as a mask. His voice, calm but heavy, broke the silence. I heard everything. The room froze. Liam looked up at his father with teary eyes. Diana's mouth opened, searching for excuses, but Keanu raised his hand to silence her. His gaze remained on Maria, filled with gratitude and respect. He whispered, "Thank you, Maria. You showed me the truth I should have seen long ago." What Keanu did next would change the lives inside that house forever. The room did not move. It felt like even the air held its breath after Keanu said, "I heard everything." Diana stood near the window, her face pale and still, her fingers tightening around the silk scarf at her neck. Maria stayed on her knees beside Liam, one arm around the small boy's shoulders, her other hand smoothing his hair in slow circles. Liam's eyes were red from crying, but when he looked up and saw his father, something in him steadied. He trusted that voice. He trusted those eyes. Keanu walked forward and knelt so he could face his son at eye level. He did not look at Diana. He did not look at anyone else. He focused on the boy who mattered more than all the rooms, all the windows, all the trophies in the house. He whispered, "I am here, my love. I am right here." Liam struggled to wipe his own tears with the back of his hand. His movements were slow, but he kept trying. Keanu gently took a soft cloth from the bedside table and helped him. "You never have to hide your tears from me," he said. "Not ever." Only then did he stand and turn toward Diana. His voice stayed calm, but there was a quiet power in it, the kind that makes people stop pretending. "I trusted you with my son. I needed you to be kind when I was away. What I heard was not kindness." Diana opened her mouth and all the usual words rushed forward. "People are misunderstanding me. You do not know what it is like. I am under stress. I was only trying to teach him to be strong." But Keanu raised his hand gently, and the excuses died before they reached the air. "This is not a debate," he said. "This is our child's heart." Diana's eyes flashed with something sharp. "He is not my child," she said. "I have tried. You do not know how hard it is. The crying, the doctors, the looks from people. I am the one who has to face guests. When he makes noise. You are out working and everyone sees me as the bad person when I cannot keep everything perfect." Maria's voice trembled but stayed firm. "Children are not problems to hide. They are people who need love." She glanced at Liam, and he leaned into her again with the kind of trust that cannot be faked. Diana scoffed. "You are a maid. You clean floors. You do not understand image." Keanu stepped closer, his voice even softer. "Image is nothing compared to a child's safety. We will not say my or your right now. We will say our responsibility, and we will fix what happened in this house." For a long moment, no one spoke. Somewhere outside, a car door shut and a bird landed on the garden wall. Ordinary sounds ran through a room full of breaking things. Keanu took a slow breath. "Diana," he said, "you will not be alone with Liam anymore, not until a counselor meets with us and helps us build a safe plan for him. You may stay in the guest suite tonight. Tomorrow morning, we will speak with a family therapist, and we will also speak with a child advocate who understands disability and care. If you refuse, you will need to leave this home. I will not bargain with my son's well-being." Diana stared at him, and for a second her face softened, almost like a plea. Then the surface returned smooth and cold. "People will talk," she said. "If I move to the guest room, everyone will know." Keanu answered, "People can talk. I will sleep tonight knowing my son is safe." Something in that sentence dissolved the last of her power. She turned away, muttering, "Fine," and walked out, her heels clicking too loudly for such a quiet house. When she was gone, the room exhaled. Keanu looked at Maria. "Thank you," he said again. But this time the words were heavier, truer. "You were brave when I was blind. You stood between harm and my child." He did not say, "You are only a maid." He said nothing about roles or ranks. He simply bowed his head a little, a gesture of respect that made Maria's eyes fill with tears. Liam tugged at the sleeve of Keanu's shirt. The boy's speech was slow and sometimes hard, but he had his ways. Maria reached to the nightstand and brought his small communication board, a simple tool with pictures and words. Liam pressed his finger to 2 tiles. Safe. Then, Maria. His hands shook with effort, but his meaning was bright and clear. Keanu swallowed hard. Yes, he whispered. Safe with Maria. Safe with Dad. He sat on the bed and pulled Liam gently onto his lap, supporting his legs the way the physical therapist had taught him. Maria adjusted the pillows with practiced hands. The three of them sat for a long time without speaking. It was the kind of quiet that heals. Later that evening, Keanu called his manager and canceled 2 meetings. Then he called a therapist who specialized in family systems and disability support. The therapist, a calm voice named Dr. Anaya, offered an emergency session for the next morning. Safety first, she said on the phone. We will start with that. Then we will build. The words felt like a map. After the call, Keanu stood by the window and watched the sky lose its color. Behind him, Maria settled Liam with a story. She had a way of reading that did not push or rush. Each sentence landed softly, like small feathers, until Liam's breathing slowed and sleep came back to him. When he finally slept, Maria set the book aside and turned to Keanu. Sir, she began, but he shook his head gently. Maria, he said, please call me Keanu, today of all days. She nodded, then looked at the door like someone expecting it to open. She will be angry, Maria said quietly. People get more dangerous when they feel power slip from their hands. Keanu listened. What do you suggest? He asked. Maria hesitated. Cameras in the common areas were installed when security updated the house last year, she said. I never wanted to use them to spy. But if there is ever a question about what happens here, truth helps. Also, the driver and the cook have seen things. They keep quiet because they need work. But if you ask in the right way, they will tell the truth. Keanu nodded slowly. We will not make a public show, he said. We will not shame anyone, but we will protect Liam and we will be honest inside these walls. Maria's shoulders relaxed. That is enough, she said. Honesty and protection are enough. Night came fully. In the guest suite, Diana paced, her phone lighting. The dark with short bursts of cold blue, she typed quick messages that sounded like plans. Downstairs, Keanu sat with a notebook and wrote a list that sounded like love. Tomorrow, new schedule for physical therapy, more outdoor time with Dad. Ask Liam what he wants more of. Ask Maria what she needs to care for him better. Set boundaries with staff, family therapy at 9. He added one more line and circled it twice. Listen without defending. Before sleep, Keanu stopped by the guest suite door and knocked. Diana opened it halfway, her face already wearing some new version of a smile. I am tired, she said. Tomorrow we will talk. I will be better. Keanu did not argue. Tomorrow we will listen, he said, and we will learn what better actually means. The morning opened with soft light, a gentle kindness after a hard night. Liam woke with a small laugh when Maria made the sound of a pretend elephant walking across his blanket. Keanu watched, amazed again at how she turned even a simple morning into a safe small world. During breakfast, the driver, a quiet man named Roberto, cleared his throat. Sir, he said, you asked for honesty. I have seen the boy cry when the missus is near. I have heard words no child should hear. He lowered his eyes. I am sorry I did not come sooner. You are here. Now, Keanu said, that is what counts. The cook, Teresa, added softly. I have left extra snacks in the fridge for Liam because sometimes dinner was delayed. I did not want him to sleep hungry. Maria looked at her with grateful eyes. Thank you, she said, and meant it, like a prayer. At 9, Dr. Anaya arrived. She did not come with a bag of answers. She came with questions. What does safety look like for Liam today, she asked first, and who in this house helps him feel it? Liam, sitting between Maria and Keanu, reached for his board. He pressed Maria, then he pressed Dad. Dr. Anaya smiled, softly. Good, she said. We will strengthen that. The session was gentle but clear. There would be new rules. No raised voices near Liam, no shaming words. Schedules posted where everyone could see them. If frustration grew, adults would step away and call for help before it spilled into harm. Adults manage adult feelings, Dr. Anaya said. Children do not carry them. When it was time to speak of Diana, the room changed temperature. Dr. Anaya turned to her with the same calm she offered everyone. What do you need in order to treat Liam with dignity? She asked. Diana crossed her arms. I need a life that is not built out of therapy appointments, she said. I need to feel seen. Dr. Anaya nodded. We can set adult time and boundaries, she said. But none of that will come by taking dignity away from a child. If staying in this home depends on kindness, can you agree to that? The question hung in the air like a scale waiting for weight. Diana did not answer. Instead, she reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. Maybe I should just leave, she said. Maybe the world should know how this house really works. Do you think the press will enjoy a story about a star who cannot hold his own home together? She said it as if it were a winning card. But it was only a small paper cut compared to the truth already sitting at the table. Keanu kept his voice steady. The world is not invited into this room, he said. This room belongs to healing. If you want to leave, you may leave. If you want to stay, you must be safe. For the first time, a real crack showed in Diana's face. The old control did not work. The old glare did not land. She looked around and saw that respect had chosen a side, and it was not hers to command. The session ended with a simple plan. Diana would move out for 2 weeks to a nearby apartment owned by the family, with all her needs covered, while she attended individual counseling and decided if she could meet the baseline of kindness. Maria would be named in writing as Liam's primary caregiver when Keanu was away, with the authority to make small daily decisions for his comfort. The staff would have a private line to Dr. Anaya if they ever needed guidance, and every evening at 7, no matter what schedule the world demanded, Keanu would share a quiet half-hour with Liam that was not for therapy or lessons, only for being. After the session, while the house felt newly arranged inside, life continued in the small ways that make hope. Maria and Teresa baked soft cookies that Liam could chew easily. Roberto fixed a loose wheel on the garden chair so the path outside would feel smoother. Keanu and Liam tried a tiny adventure, just the two of them and Maria at the garden's edge. They listened to wind move through the trees, and Liam laughed at the sun when it hid behind a cloud and came back like a peekaboo game. Then, at dusk, a new sound cut through the warm day. A phone buzzed on the side table with a message from an unknown number. Keanu opened it, not thinking much of it, and then his face changed. The text said, "You think you can hide behind your therapist and your maid, but I know how to turn a story. Watch." Attached was a short video clip filmed secretly in the hallway days earlier. It showed Liam alone, crying in his room, and Diana entering, not to comfort him, but to take a call while telling him to be quiet. The clip was cut to make it worse, to make it look like the house was always cruel. And the message ended with, "Imagine this going to the press, unless we renegotiate everything." Maria saw Keanu's hands tense. "What is it?" she asked. He showed her the screen. For a moment, the old fear returned to her eyes, not fear for herself, but for the boy. Then she looked up with something fiercer than fear. "Truth still lives here," she said. "We will not be bullied." Keanu took a slow breath. He sent the clip to Dr. Anaya and asked for a late call. He also opened the quiet security folder and found recordings from the living room camera that painted the fuller picture. Maria reading softly, Liam smiling at breakfast, staff kindness, Diana's cold words when she thought no one was nearby, not for revenge, not for spectacle, for proof that would keep Liam safe. When the call connected, Dr. Anaya's voice was steady. "Extortion is not family," she said. "We will document everything. We will reach for legal protection if needed, and we will keep Liam out of the storm. Remember your North Star." Keanu looked at his son, now asleep with a cookie crumb on his lip, and felt his North Star burn bright. "I remember," he said. He turned to Maria. "Tomorrow we take Liam to the ocean," he said. "A small trip, a quiet beach, the gentlest part of the day. He has asked about waves for months. We will give him a day that no message can steal." Maria smiled, and the house seemed to breathe easier. But in the guest suite, a different kind of breathing filled the air, short, angry, plotting. The next move was already being prepared. And yet, for this night, inside the soft circle of a lamp and the softer circle of a father's arm, Liam belonged to safety. Outside, the world could talk and trade stories. Inside, a new story was learning how to walk one careful step at a time. The next morning arrived with a gentle sky, the kind of blue that feels almost soft. Liam woke to the smell of fresh bread from the kitchen, his favorite. Maria helped him sit up, brushing his hair with tender hands. Keanu entered the room with a wide smile. "Good morning, champ," he said softly, lifting Liam into his arms. "Today we're going to see the ocean." Liam's eyes lit up. He reached for his board and tapped 2 words, "Ocean" and "happy." Keanu kissed his son's forehead. "Yes, happy," he whispered. Maria packed a small bag with snacks, a blanket, and Liam's medicines. Roberto readied the car, careful to secure the special seat that supported Liam's fragile body. When they set off, the ride was quiet but filled with warmth. Liam pressed his face to the window, his small hands pointing at trees, clouds, and birds. Every little detail of the outside world fascinated him, and Keanu never stopped answering his questions, even the silent ones his eyes asked. When they reached the beach, the sound of waves greeted them first. Maria spread out a blanket while Keanu carried Liam down to the sand, his careful steps sinking into the shore. The boy's eyes grew wide, his mouth opening in wonder as he listened to the rolling waves crash and retreat. "This is for you, Liam," Keanu said softly, lowering him onto the blanket. "You've waited a long time for this." Maria sat beside him, helping him place seashells into his lap. "See this one?" she asked gently, showing him a shell with swirls of pink and white. "It's a gift from the sea." Liam smiled and tapped his board. "Beautiful." For hours they stayed there. Keanu built a small sandcastle, carefully shaping towers while Liam laughed at every collapse. Maria collected shells and told stories about how each one carried the voice of the ocean inside it. Roberto walked nearby, keeping watch without disturbing the peace. It was a day that felt pure, untouched by fear or anger. Keanu soaked in every second, memorizing Liam's laughter, the warmth of the sun on his son's face, the calm strength of Maria beside them. For once, the world outside could not reach them, but peace is fragile. As the sun began to dip lower, Keanu's phone buzzed. He ignored it at first, unwilling to break the spell. But when it buzzed again and again, he finally looked. The messages froze his smile. Headlines, photos, videos. Someone had leaked the clip, the one cut to show Liam crying alone while Diana appeared careless. Only this time, the leak was twisted even further. Captions accused Keanu of neglect, accused his staff of hiding abuse, accused his household of being broken. Words like scandal and unfit father danced across the screen. Maria saw his face pale. "What is it?" she asked softly. Keanu handed her the phone. Her eyes widened as she read. "They turned the truth upside down," she whispered. Liam, sensing the shift, reached for Keanu's hand. He didn't understand the phone, the headlines, the noise, but he felt the fear in his father's body. He tapped his board slowly. "Safe?" Keanu's eyes filled with tears. He hugged his son close. "Yes, Liam, you are safe. Nothing will change that." But inside, his mind raced. He knew exactly who had done this. Diana. She had turned the outside world into a weapon, using lies to twist the truth. She had struck where it would hurt him most, not just his career, but his ability to protect his child. Maria's voice broke through his storm of thoughts. "Keanu, listen to me. Lies can spread fast, but truth is stronger if you hold on. We have proof. The cameras, the staff, the therapist. Don't let her win by fear." Keanu nodded slowly. "You're right, but the world won't wait for proof. They believe what they see first. I have to protect Liam before this grows bigger." He lifted his son gently, holding him against his chest as the waves rolled in. "This is not just about me," he whispered. "This is about his future." Back at the house that evening, the atmosphere was tense. Reporters already hovered outside the gates, their voices calling through the air. Diana was gone, but her shadow remained, long and sharp. Maria held Liam close while Keanu sat at his desk, phone in hand, making calls to lawyers and advisors. When he hung up, he turned to Maria. "We will face this," he said firmly. "But I can't do it alone. Liam needs you now more than ever." Maria looked at him, her eyes steady. "Then you will not be alone. As long as I am here, Liam will never be unprotected." Outside, the cameras flashed. Inside, Keanu and Maria made a silent vow. No matter how loud the lies became, the truth would live inside their love for Liam. But neither of them knew that the next move Diana planned would be even darker, and it would force Keanu to make the hardest choice of his life. The house was no longer quiet. Outside the tall gates, reporters crowded with flashing cameras, shouting questions that carried like storms through the air. Inside, Liam pressed his hands against his ears, frightened by the noise. Maria held him close, whispering, "Don't. Listen, mijo, you are safe." Safe. Keanu stood at the window, his jaw tight, his heart breaking to see his son's peace shattered. He knew Diana was behind this. Only she had access to the videos and the bitterness to twist them into weapons. He thought the worst had already come with the headlines, but he was wrong. That night, as the house finally grew quiet, Keanu's phone buzzed again. This time it was not headlines. It was a direct message. "If you want this to stop, give me half of everything. Money, property, rights, or tomorrow. The world will see proof that you cannot even protect your disabled son inside your own home. I have more videos. I have recordings. You will lose custody, your career, and your child. Choose." Keanu's blood ran cold. Diana was not just trying to shame him, she was threatening to take Liam away. Maria saw the message, her face pale with shock. "She will not stop, Keanu. She is not only cruel, she is dangerous." Keanu sat heavily in his chair, his mind spinning. For years he had faced critics, harsh press, lies. But this was different. This was not about him. This was about Liam. And Liam could not fight for himself. He looked at Maria, who was still holding the boy, rocking him gently. "I can lose money. I can lose reputation. But I cannot lose him." Maria's eyes filled with determination. "Then we fight not with fear, but with truth. We gather every piece of proof we have, we speak to the right people, and we do not let her write the story." The next morning, Keanu called Dr. Anaya, the family therapist. She listened carefully, her calm voice grounding him. "Document everything. Keep copies of the recordings, and most important, do not give in to threats. If she tries to use the child against you, the courts will see her cruelty. Truth stands stronger than fear when handled carefully." But even as they planned, Diana moved faster. By afternoon, a new article exploded online, this time showing blurry images of Liam's face paired with headlines that twisted his disability into cruelty. "Tragedy inside Reeves's mansion," one headline read. "Star's disabled son lives in misery while father hides the truth." Keanu's hands shook as he read. It was no longer just about him. Diana had dragged Liam into the fire. The one thing he had always tried to protect, his son's dignity, was being torn apart by strangers' eyes. Liam sensed the tension. He tugged at Keanu's sleeve, pressing his board gently. "Why, sad?" Keanu's eyes filled with tears. He knelt before his son, holding his face gently. "Not you, Liam. Never you. The world is loud and sometimes cruel, but you are light. You are my light." Maria placed her hand on Keanu's shoulder. "She wants you to break. She wants you to bend. Don't give her that." Keanu nodded slowly, his voice steadying. "You are right. No more hiding. Tomorrow, I will face the cameras myself. I will tell the truth, not just about her cruelty, but about the strength of this boy. The world will not pity him. They will see him for who he truly is." Maria's eyes shone with quiet pride. That is the father he needs. But Diana had her own plan for tomorrow. And as the sun set, she whispered into her phone to a contact who thrived on scandal. He thinks he can speak. Let him. I will give them a show he cannot recover from. In the guest suite she once used, she had left behind a hidden camera. On it was one more clip, edited, manipulated, designed to ruin. And in her hands, it was a knife she was ready to use. That night, Keanu sat by Liam's bed as the boy slept, peacefully, unaware of the storm. Keanu stroked his son's hair, whispering, "Tomorrow I will stand for you. I will not let anyone write your story but us." But he did not yet know how far Diana was willing to go, or how dangerous her next step would become. The morning came heavy with clouds, as though the sky itself sensed the weight of the day. Outside the mansion gates, reporters had already gathered, their cameras pointed like weapons. Inside, Liam sat at the table with Maria, nibbling on soft bread as she quietly hummed to him. Keanu stood nearby, adjusting his jacket, his mind racing. Today he would face the world. Maria looked up, her eyes steady. "Remember, Keanu, they will twist, they will push, but speak with your heart. Don't fight with anger, show them the truth that lives here." Keanu nodded, though his hands trembled. He leaned down, kissing Liam's forehead. "This is for you, champ. No one will shame you again." With Roberto and Maria by his side, Keanu walked out to the gates. Microphones rose. Questions shouted over each other. "Mr. Reeves, are the allegations true? Is your son neglected? Who leaked the videos?" Keanu raised his hand, and the noise slowly softened. His voice was calm but heavy with emotion. "The child you saw in those headlines is my son, Liam. He is not a tragedy. He is not a burden. He is my pride, my joy, my reason to live. What you saw was not truth, but pieces twisted to harm him. And I will not stay silent while my child is used for someone else's game." The crowd quieted, their lenses still fixed, but their tone shifting. Keanu continued, "Disability is not shame. Difference is not weakness. Liam is strong. He is brave. And in this house, he is loved. Yes, mistakes were made in who I trusted. But I have seen the truth now. And with the help of people who care, like Maria, I will make sure Liam is safe, respected, and free to grow in love." As he spoke, cameras clicked furiously, but many in the crowd lowered their voices, touched by his words. Then, suddenly, a voice broke through the quiet. Diana. She had arrived unannounced, dressed in perfection, her smile sharp as glass. She stepped forward, holding a tablet high. "If you think he is telling the truth," she shouted, "watch this." On the screen, another video began to play. It showed Liam crying again, this time in his bedroom. The clip was cut to make it seem like hours of neglect, as though no one cared for him. "This," Diana said loudly, "is the life of his son, forgotten. Unloved." Gasps rippled through the reporters. Some lifted their cameras again, ready to capture scandal. But before the poison could spread, Maria stepped forward. Her voice was clear, strong. "That video is a lie, and I have proof." From her bag, she pulled a small drive. "We have full recordings from the same day. Here, you will see the truth." Liam cried for a few minutes, like any child does, but then you will see what really happened. Me reading to him laughing, his father holding him. Diana cut pieces to tell her own story, but lies cannot live in the light. The reporters buzzed with interest, some already asking for the drive. Diana's smile faltered, her confidence slipping. Keanu looked at Maria with gratitude burning in his chest. She had not only protected Liam inside the house, but now shielded him from the world's cruelty. He turned back to the crowd. "You can take the recordings, see for yourselves. I do not ask for pity, only for fairness. Let the world look at the whole truth, not just the cuts of someone who wanted power." The tension broke. Some reporters lowered their cameras, others looked at Diana with suspicion. Whispers spread through the crowd, and Diana's face tightened as the power she thought she held slipped away. But even as she turned to leave, defeated, She hissed toward Keanu. "This isn't over. I will not disappear." Keanu's voice was steady, unshaken. "It is over, Diana, because truth will always outlast lies." Inside the house, Liam watched through the window, his small hand pressed against the glass. Maria rushed back to him, kneeling down. "You are safe, mijo. Your father stood for you. We all did." Liam tapped his board with effort. "Dad. Hero." Tears filled Keanu's eyes as he embraced his son. "No, Liam. You are the hero. You are the reason I fight." The day ended not with scandal but with strength. The world had seen a father's love, a maid's courage, and a child's light. But the storm had not fully passed. Keanu knew the road ahead would still be hard. Legal battles, rebuilding trust, helping Liam heal. And yet, for the first time, he felt certain of one thing. They were not alone anymore. The days that followed were heavy with lawyers, courtrooms, and endless paperwork. Diana had tried to twist the story further, claiming she was the victim of lies, saying that Keanu and Maria had plotted against her. But truth has a way of standing tall when people are brave enough to hold it. The recordings from the cameras were shown in court. Every tender moment Maria had with Liam, every quiet evening when Keanu read stories to his son, every laugh that proved love filled the house. They also showed the darker parts, Diana's sharp words, her neglect, her coldness. No editing, no twisting, just reality. The judge watched carefully, then spoke words that would change everything. "Liam Reeves deserves a home filled with love and respect. Mr. Reeves, you have shown your commitment as a father. Maria, though, not bound by blood, has proven her devotion through actions. Diana, your behavior shows cruelty unfit for guardianship. From this day, you are legally removed from Liam's care." The courtroom fell silent. Diana's face twisted with rage, but the fight was over. She had lost not only her place in the house, but the mask she had worn for so long. She left the courtroom in silence, her heels striking the floor like broken promises. Keanu turned to Maria, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You saved him. You saved us both." Maria shook her head gently. "No, Keanu. I only did what anyone with a heart should do. You are the one who stood in the light when it mattered." Then Liam, sitting in his special chair beside them, reached for his board. Slowly, he pressed the tiles. Maria. Family. The word hung in the air, pure and true. Maria's tears spilled over as she touched his hand. "Yes, mijo. Always." From that day forward, the house felt different. The silence that once carried weight now carried peace. There were still challenges. Therapy sessions, hospital visits, nights when Liam woke from bad dreams. But there was no fear. Only love. Keanu restructured his work. He cut back on long trips, choosing projects that allowed him to spend more time at home. Every evening at 7, as he had promised, he sat with Liam, sometimes reading, sometimes just holding him while the boy drifted to sleep. Maria remained by their side, not as a maid but as something far greater. She was Liam's guardian angel, the woman who had shielded him when no one else dared, and Keanu treated her with the respect she had long deserved. She had become part of their family in every way that mattered. Months later, Keanu took Liam and Maria back to the ocean. This time, there were no reporters, no headlines, no shadows waiting to twist their lives. Only the sound of waves and the laughter of a boy who felt safe enough to dream again. Keanu knelt in the sand beside his son, pointing at the horizon. "Look, Liam, that is the future. It's wide, it's open, and it's yours." Liam smiled, pressing his board with 2 simple words, safe and love. Keanu's heart swelled as he whispered, "Yes, my son. Safe and love. Always." Maria stood behind them, watching the two together, her heart full. She knew there would still be battles ahead. Life was never without them. But she also knew this truth. With love, respect, and resilience, they had already won the greatest fight of all. And as the sun set, painting the sky in colors of hope, Keanu Reeves held his son close, no longer afraid of what tomorrow might bring. For in their home now lived something stronger than lies, stronger than cruelty, stronger than fear, an unbreakable bond of family.